بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان ودعا بدعواتهم إلى يوم الدين وبعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Many people, students, they always ask me the same questions pertaining to Israel, pertaining to America, pertaining to Palestine, pertaining to Gaza, etc., etc. Many of us, we ask the questions why the American and the Israeli regime, they are lying to the public with a straight face. Why are the Americans and the Israeli regime putting up fake videos of a supposed war outcome? And for the most of it, I didn't want to speak on it. Not that I don't have an interest in it. Our people are being killed, yes. So I want to take your attention today to a topic that is called the Universal War Communication Model. And this is a model that was used also by Adolf Hitler. And he is not the only one. This is a model leaders use to communicate before, during, and as well, during an escalation of war. Why? This has everything to do with public opinion. Number one, it is to gain public support. It is also used to maintain the morale of the army and the citizens as well. And it is, of course, used to justify the actions of a government, or any country. And I think you don't need me to explain that to you anymore. Even a school child will be able to tell you, this on the American-Israeli war on Palestine and Iran. Because it is clear as day. And by doing so, of course, you control public perception. So when this poster boy Pete Hegseth is coming out in front of the press and does his little parade, this is all just to win public opinion. And much the same can be said on Caroline Leavitt. We also know that the American citizens are fed up with the Israeli lobby within the U.S. Congress, or at least many of them. As a matter of fact, one of the lobby groups, AIPAC, are now using third-party organizations through which the lobbyist funds can reach puppet individuals. We should know that the first phase within the UWCM is that you as a government would want to create the core message to your citizens that you are being wronged. Meaning the country is being wronged. How do you do that? It is very simple. You simply highlight past injustices that were done unto you, the country, and you emphasize the humiliation we as a country went through and the oppression and the danger of it, etc. What does this message do? This message you are sending out to the public, it triggers emotions like fear and anger and dignity, etc. This is what Germany did after the Versailles Treaty. And this is in like manner what the US did when they attacked Iran by stating that this was a preemptive strike because of nuclear weapons. Well, the story have changed multiple times in any case, but this cannot be done without a legitimate framework, meaning a morally and legally acceptable message need to be given to the citizens. So they would frame it as a defensive strike. They would frame it as a just strike, or they would frame it as a necessary strike. So as with all previous regimes of the US, you would hear the terms protection and security and justice being dished out a lot by Caroline Leavitt and Pete Hegseth. And language is important here. They would use strike instead of attack. And we will neutralize instead of saying we will kill. We should also know that part of the UWCM is that you have to project military capability. If you are too weak, this will create public fear. If you are too progressive, this will create a global backlash. And this is exactly what we are witnessing now. US allies are saying You got yourself into this Iran mess and you get yourself out of it. Part of the public perception you have to put out as well is that you as a military or country, you are winning militarily. We are succeeding. We are hitting our targets. You exaggerate enemy losses and you downplay setbacks. And of course, those who benefit financially from the war, specifically those private companies who sells bombs and military equipment to the US, they use the mainstream media for this purpose. And they do it well. The problem with this for the Israelis and America is that you have citizens in both Iran and Israel recording videos and uploading it onto social media, although there are strong censorship on the American and Israeli part, yes. And this is psychological warfare, of course. Your stats you need to put out to the public, it needs to be selective and not neutral. And when you make, when you make use of the mainstream media that you control, the message they send out is always that of progress and momentum, and very important, that of control. Donald swears on his life that he is in charge of the war, and his defense secretary swear that they are in control. But in reality, it is actually the opposite. Which brings me to another phase of the UWCM, and that is psychological messaging dominance. Now, in this part or phase of the war, you let your citizens, your allies, and the world, for that matter, know that the enemy is collapsing, that the enemy is disorganized. This I don't even need to tell you. Donald does this every chance he gets. Pete Hegseth does this every chance he gets. You also, we also need to project to the public that the enemy is desperate. Okay? We need to project to the public that the enemy is desperate. And the way they do it today is even worse than yesterday. They will break down your image. They will break down your character. They will break down your character and your image first to make you look bad in front of the public. As a matter of fact, go ask those imams who has been fired from the mosques of Allah. They also know what I'm talking about. And this, of course, serves as a dual purpose. Number one is that it demoralizes your enemy. And number two, is that it reassures your domestic audience. So when you see Netanyahu making up all these lies he is doing straight out of a Nazi playbook, then you should know that he is actually doing it, out of a strategic book already written up. And Adolf Hitler himself, he had some interesting things to say as well about many of the countries surrounding him. Things that are actually historically true as well. Part of the universal war communication model is contradiction management. You need a strategy in place that deals with any contradictions your oppressive government threw out into the public. Donald first said, the war on Iran will be a short war. Then people started asking questions, but why, is it still ongoing? Then Caroline Leavitt had to go lie in front of even the US Senate. Every escalation needs to be projected as a winning. What you have also heard over and over since Gaza is precision targeting. When they are actually killing civilians. So these contradictions are actually managed with more lies. What many leaders actually do, instead of resolving contradiction, they shift the emphasis and they change the wording. And look at Israel and the US. They constantly introduce new justifications. This is out of the handbook of the UWCM, meaning that the messaging adapts faster than what the reality changes. And so now we come to the most important part for the Zionists on the UWCM, and that is the goal of expansion. And a simple message here to your citizens is that we must go further to finish the job. The initial goals is limited and specific, or at least it is made to appear like that to the public. But the actual goal is expansion, which is, this is basically what Israel is currently doing. You have independent media houses going in circles. But Israel and the US said that they are, that they started the war because they were concerned about weapons of mass destruction. The second day they say Israel said that they struck Gaza because of self-defense. The third day it's preemptive strikes. All this changing of narratives, you don't need to bother wasting your time on what they say. It is very simple. They want to expand the fake and illegal state of Israel. So what they do here is to first remove the threat. Okay? Or they are supposed to do it, which they still haven't done, by the way, which is Hezbollah and Hamas and what you have it, and now Iran, including that of Yemen. Yemen was there from the beginning, so they must destroy their capability. Everyone keeps talking about, a regime change. No, it's not about a regime change. It's about totally destroying the regime and the infrastructure of the place you want to make use of in your efforts of expanding. And then, of course, you need to reshape it as your own. What you will notice each and every time, it doesn't matter if it's Iraq or Libya and now Iran, is that the citizens in Israel and America, and some of them, not all of them, or many of them, they will start asking questions, and those independent journalists who still treasure the haqq, and what they are told every time is that we cannot stop the war yet. And here victory becomes less defined, and the war continues under evolving reasons, sometimes even false flags operations. An Israeli soldier, in actual fact, he testified on camera that in the early mornings of the October 7th event, they got instructions from their own military generals to leave the post which he and his colleagues were guarding, which is the same post where Hamas later got through. And he also mentioned the time they were to stay away from the post. He says he found it strange, but of course, he can't argue with his seniors. So they evacuated their designated post. So we should know that in essence, the UWCM, the Universal War Communication Model, is an 8-point strategic model. Number 1, play the victim. Number 2, always have a justification. Number 3, show your public you are capable and you have the strength. Number 4, project to the public that we are winning. Number 5, project dominance and that the enemy are actually the ones who are losing. Number 6, manage any contradictions. Number 7, the goal is expansion. And number 8, it needs to be on a continuation rollout. In other words, there's really no clear end, because if you want to expand an illegal state, this will take years and years, of course. And now you will say, but oh my God, is this what they are doing? And is this what is going on? And this and this? No. This is actually just predictable human and political patterns written up by humans. Why? Because fear mobilizes and certainty comforts. You project that to your citizens with supposed moral clarity, it will unite your people and citizens, your citizens, into believing your bogus war is justified. This is predictable human and political patterns. But tomorrow, inshallah, Aziz, we will take a look at what the one says on all of this. The one who is not a human being at all, but the creator of all human beings, including that of the best amongst the human beings, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. We leave it till there. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our lives with all the khairat and barakat. Wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.